little. I love my little Riverside intro. Where now we go like this.
Powered by Riverside.
Yes, that's right, folks. Got a few notes for tonight's program. Thank you for tuning in. Duke Machado, Latino Strike Force, Hispanic Republicans of McLennan County, and we're so glad to have our guest on tonight, Pat Curry, newly elected Republican representative, House District 56. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Duke. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, we're going to get into at least three or four different topics, and we'll lead into them. But as always, I always just try to have a conversation.
Sure.
People that listen to our show, they like the fireside chat style versus interview style. So let's start with this. I'm going to hit you right out of the blocks because this is something that a lot of people, Republicans and Democrats, were like, "Oh, Pat might be going too far on this." But I'm feeling the crunch. I'm feeling the pinch right now. The economy is tough. You said in your campaign that you're going to stop inflation and get the economy turned around. How's that going? What's your plan of action?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, there is a level of inflation that you do want to have. It's healthy to have, 2%, 1.8 to 2.2% inflation. The way and what I answered that all the way through the campaign through November 5th is the way you stop inflation is you vote the Democrats out.
Yeah.
You take
Which we
control.
did. Which we did. Yeah.
That's correct. You take control of all three of the branches and you get them out of there because they're spending us into oblivion.
Mm.
And then you start eliminating waste, right? I mean, so you have Fed policy, so you have a relatively liberal Fed that came in and raised interest rates at the wrong time, lowered interest rates at the wrong time, then they raised them back at the wrong time, and then they raised them too much, and all that was stifling, right? So now
Hmm.
with the new Republican regime in Washington, hopefully they'll be able to pick the right people to come in, and it looks like they are, to be able to come in and change that economic policy and be able to lower interest rates a little more and stop printing money. You have to
Mm.
stop. Inflation is born by printing money. I mean, it's economics 101. And I am a Texas Aggie, so I'm let's say I'm a little limited in my knowledge, maybe, or some people may think I am. But the fact is that even at A&M they taught that.
Hmm.
It doesn't take much to figure that out. So, I think timing wise, it's going to be it could take a little while. I mean, because as interest rates come down, you can see housing prices have stabilized. They've come down a little bit. They're probably going to come down a little more. We've got to do something about property taxes, and that's another inflationary item. You also have the value of cars and what it costs. Insurance is off the charts for all of
Hmm.
us. And one of the reasons is because the cost of putting a roof on your house has doubled in the last 4 years. The cost of
Yeah.
replacing a car that's damaged in an accident or totaled in an accident is almost doubled. And those are real numbers that the insurance companies are having to pay, and their reserves are going down quickly. So all those things are on the minds of the Texas legislators as well, and we're going to
Hmm.
continue to work on that.
I feel like we're in a different era. To me, COVID seems like it was almost like a bad dream, right? The whole COVID era, all the lockdowns, all that was just weird. It was like a weird movie that we were living in. And it seems like a long time ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. And a lot of times I hear people say, well, when we get back to pre COVID, pricing. I build swimming pools, so I'm in construction and materials, and things have gone down a little bit, but they're still not down pre-COVID pricing. Same goes with cars, same goes with houses. Everything's and maybe it's just the new era. I would love for us to get back down to pre-COVID, but maybe that's wishful thinking. But if we can improve where we're at now and get the grocery costs down, get the electric costs down, I know with a strong energy plan that's going to help us. Um, you know, getting control of our country again. To me, is we've been running wild. We've been running like just wild kids let loose. Doing whatever they want, whenever they want. That never works that well, and our country has suffered, and people have suffered. I
So
want to.
let's put that in perspective for just a second, because I don't want what you just said. Well, it's wishful thinking, and I would agree with that piece of it. It's not realistic. So you don't cut your way out of a problem. You grow your way out of it, right? And so you have to grow the economy to grow out of it. Wages are not going to come down. The price of housing may come down a little bit, but costs are not going to come down. Maybe some of the costs will come down, but it's going to be very incrementally slow. To put this in total perspective, since Biden was elected, and you can go on the government's website and look at the cost of living that has their numbers, and then the fact is that since Biden was elected, inflation has gone up 20%.
Mm,
That's I
gosh.
mean that's 20%, and that's over. Just so you understand, that's over 3.5 years. And the reality is that it's gone up 57% in the last 20 years, but it's up 20 of the 57. So almost a third, over a third of it has been since Biden was elected. And
Mm,
so you don't just cut your way out of that. Interest rates coming down will help. Car prices will get a little more competitive because people aren't buying cars, right? Pools are the same way. Your labor costs, your material costs, they're going to stay high, but people need to make more money to be able to pay for that. That's the
hmm
definition of what happens when you have high inflation. What you don't want is what happened in 2008, 2009, where we had a severe recession, the Great Recession. You certainly don't want a depression. So it's a very careful box you have to stay within.
hmm
And so now it's just up to people to you got to pay your people more, and then they've got to work harder and be more efficient, and we work our way through it.
Well, the people voted. Americans voted, and everyone's tired of what was going on. And even though President Trump is not in office yet, he's just the thought of him coming in, just the reality of him soon being in office is already kind of making things happen. I want to talk about your visit to the border. I saw pictures you posted on social media. You're down there with other freshmen, newly elected representatives, Republicans, House members, Senate members. What were you there for? Give me a breakdown on what that was all about. I know you were there with Abbott. I know that the new Homeland Security Chief Tom Homan was there. How was that?
So first, to correct you on that, Governor
Okay.
Abbott and Tom Homan were in Edinburgh. They were at a different conference. Um, I went to the one. I was invited by the General Land Commissioner Don Buckingham to go to the border, and several reps just so we decided that we would all try to go, as many as we could. It wasn't just
hmm
freshmen; it was senior reps as well. Keith Bell was
Oh.
there. Representative Bell was there from Forney. Representative Guillen was there. That's his district. So
hmm
that's one of the ranches that the state of Texas has purchased, and they immediately started putting the wall up. And
mm
right behind where Don was speaking, the wall was going up, and there were hundreds and hundreds of sections laid out and ready to go. The
mm
concrete trucks, they were working while we were there. They're working 24/7.
mm
We're putting up about a mile of wall a week. Um, Dawn said that was one of the major hotspots for trafficking
mm
after Eagle Pass was shut down. That because the people that owned that land before would not allow them to put a wall up, and they wouldn't allow any law enforcement on their land either.
mm.
So it became a hotspot. So Texas bought it, and
Wow.
they've bought thousands of acres along the river and along the border to continue to protect that border. And it was important to me. I have a ranch on the border. I'm highly involved in Homeland Security. I'm highly involved in Operation Lone Star and Lone Star Task Force. And I was there with the sheriff of Zapata County, Romando Del Bosque, and honestly, it's just one of those where I felt it was important to be there and show my support for what we're doing down there.
So there's a couple things we're always battling Democrats, Latino Democrats, we feel that Latinos showed up for Trump. We feel like Latinos showed up for America in this last election, and the Democrats don't understand what happened. I know what I know what happened, and conservative Latinos, we know what happened, and so right now, what the Democrats are doing is, and I know you represent everybody, right? So that's the thing, you represent everybody. But what they're doing right now is they're putting forward the concept that if you're brown, just that just I don't I hate to even just say that, but if you're brown, then you need to be looking over your shoulder because you might just be deported uh, at a moment's notice. Tell me what you think of that and why they're doing it. I mean, I know I'm a fifth generation Texan. I'm a U.S. citizen, Air Force veteran. I'm not worried about being deported, but why are they doing that? What's the point?
Well, I mean, it's just it's a scare tactic. It's all they have left. I mean, they've screwed this thing up so badly, and this is not a black or brown issue or any of that. It's all over the board. I mean, there's plenty of white people that came across the border that are crooks and villains and rapists and murderers. There's plenty of black people. There's plenty of very few Hispanics actually. I mean, I've been on the border for several years, and I can just tell you that certainly the people from Mexico wouldn't dare cross right now,
Mm,
and they haven't in quite a while. So it's not that so much. I think that what they're trying to do is trying to make an excuse as to why they lost, and they're also the border. They know the border is a big issue, and yet they waited until a couple of months before the election to say, oh well, we'll start building the wall again. We'll get that started. Well, they didn't, and
mm-hmm,
and people are concerned about the border. They're concerned about the drugs and the fentanyl coming across and the human trafficking that's happening. That's the cartels doing it, and it's the South American cartels, and the Mexican government is allowing it. And
mm,
so I think the Hispanic community said, wait a minute. I mean, we're dying on the vine with gas and groceries and the economy, and our neighborhoods and our schools are less safe than they were. And they're seeing and hearing all over the United States about the effects of what that open border meant to them. And so I don't think I know they're not going to be fooled by it, Duke.
they're trying to paint this image of 1940 Germany, where the Nazis are walking around asking Jews for their papers.
Mhm.
Um, they're trying to build the fear, to build the distrust of the party. I say to keep Latinos on the plantation, like to scare us, and I just want to put it to bed. There's nothing to worry about for legal uh, American citizens. It doesn't matter what color you are. No one's going to come and just deport you, pull you out of your house in the middle of the night. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's not going to be. I mean, look, I know these guys. I mean, I actually know Tom Homan. I mean, I've supported Border 911. I can just tell you, I know a lot. I know the Texas borders are a good friend of mine, Mike Banks. Um, I can just tell you that's not the plan. I've seen the plan that they're enacting. It's very similar to Operation Lone Star Task Force.
Hmm.
It's going to spread throughout the United States. Texas has a big part in what they're doing. Obviously, we have 1,250 miles of border, and so they're not going to racial profile. That's not about that. They know they know the ones that they're going after, and I'm sure that they're going to people, anybody that gets pulled over, if you get pulled over for a ticket, they're going to run your license and find out who you are and what you're about. And they're going to try to find those people that came across illegally that should not be here first. I mean, the ones that are a harm to our society. None of us want them here. And any
Hmm.
of those that are connected to cartel members, they know who the cartel members are that they had to be in contact with when they came. They have the data of the ones that came across with their hands up. They know who they are. right? Because they were on an app and they had to have an address where they were going and a contact person. There was a series of things, at least, that they were items that they were able to collect off of these people. So they have a pretty
Hmm.
good, and they have photos of them. So they have a pretty good idea who they are. And they're going to spread out throughout the United States, and they're going to go find those people, put them back out where they belong, and have them come to the front door. They're beefing up
Hmm.
immigration, which desperately needed to be done, and trying to process as many of these applications as we can and cut that wait time from 14 years, hopefully down to 2 or 3 years. But
Mm.
but you have to process these people. We're still a country of immigrants. We want them, we
Yep.
want them, we want all of them here. We want the good ones here. We want the ones that want to work here. And so I think you're going to see more and more of that. But it's certainly not. This is not a racial roundup. I mean, that's a ridiculous thought, and it's being planted by the other party because they're making excuses as to how they spent $1.4 billion in the presidential election and lost.
And lost. Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw an interview, or maybe when Tom was speaking here in Texas, um, he mentioned something about Sanctuary City in Colorado. I think it was the Denver mayor, and he's not going to have any mercy on sanctuary cities. If you're harboring people that they're going after, and you're in the way, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, it's he's not playing any games. It's kind of the attitude that I took from it, or what I took from it was that he's serious. He's tasked with this, and he's not playing any games. I like it. I think it's what we need. And I posed this question to one of our groups, a private group that we're developing across the state, and 83% of our members support the mass deportation. These are Hispanic Republicans, so without a doubt, there's full support for it, and I'm anxious to see how all that unrolls. So, legal citizens, folks, don't be worried. Don't buy into the lies of the Democrats. It's just scare tactics, like Representative Curry says here. So let me move on to the next thing. Um, I think I mentioned earlier one of the in our first interview we talked about education, and we talked about how the state the role that the state plays, and we talked about parental choice and different things like that. Um, there's news out. There's news out about at the federal level returning education to the states. What have you heard about that? What do we as Texans need to be thinking about with that?
So I've probably heard the same things that you've heard, and I've probably read the same things that you have. Um, I like to read all sides, so I mean, I'm constantly looking at the news and data from all over the United States, and no matter
Hmm.
who's writing it or who's not, I like to see both sides. I will tell you that I personally went last year, this year, to the Department of Education in Washington. I went up with the Waco Chamber of Commerce, I guess it's Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce,
Hmm.
and we went to the Department of Education. And of course, one of my big issues is workforce development, job preparedness training. I want to see that in our school choice effort. I want to see that more properly funded and properly set within our public school system and in our society. And so that was a big topic, and everybody up there wants to talk about it. And you go to the Department of Education, and my wife and I get off the elevator, and we walk through this huge room that's full of cubicles, and there's nobody in it. There's
Hmm.
nobody walking down the halls, and there's nobody at the coffee machine, and there wasn't a fire drill. Um, and they put us in this big old conference room with a long table, and they bring in all these 4, 5, 6 employees of the Department of Education, and they all want to sit there and chat about how they have tons of money available and all these grants, and you just got to figure out how to get them. And our job is to just help give away money. Well, number one, there's an economy issue. Number two, all these cubicles are empty. And so these people aren't coming to work. There's thousands, tens of thousands of employees in the Department of Education that are sending mandates and doing all these things. And all we could get out of them, you don't really have a workforce development program. You have
Hmm.
suggestions and you have pots of money that nobody can get. And you all just sit here and work with each other and chat to each other about your I guess about what happens at home. I don't know what they're doing. So
Mm,
honestly, the most of the education is funded by the state of Texas and your local taxes. It should be controlled in the local school boards, and it should be controlled by the money from the state of Texas. And the state of Texas should have a say in how our children are educated if they're going to put up that kind of money. And
mm-hmm,
more importantly, parents should have a say and have a choice in how their children are educated. So consequently, I mean, it's a the Department of Education. I've heard that they were going to do their best to eliminate it. I think several departments need to be eliminated, and I think several departments in Washington and Austin ought to be moved out of those towns and move out into the country and out into the districts in Texas. And let's get rid of some of these bureaucrats and let's get rid of some of these mandates and some of this crap that's bottling up our society today.
yeah. So, what do you think of the news? The liberals are freaking out over Texas schools teaching about the Bible.
It's optional, just so you know. It is optional. And, it's interesting because everybody wants to run around and say, we're one nation under God, right? I mean, you can go time after time again. You can look historically, you can look at dang near any documents you want in the history of the United States and Texas. And God is mentioned. I mean, we're the second civilization of God. And yet
Mm,
they don't want us to teach about, and by the way, the Bible is a great history, the best history reference that
mm,
we have, and very well corroborated by book after book after book written at different times by different people that had different viewpoints that
mm-hmm,
corroborated each other's stories. And so consequently, the arguments that I've seen and heard so far are not valid, but most importantly, it's optional. It's optional
mm-hmm,
to take that, and they actually get an incentive to be able to take on the Bluebonnet curriculum, which takes you back, and you're going to laugh at me when I tell you, but it takes you back to the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. Right? I
yeah,
mean, let's get back to what we learned and get
yeah.
back to
Back to
teaching.
basics.
Sure, and teach our kids how to be ready to go to work and how to do things. So, I don't pay any attention to them. I'm glad that we have biblical references, and I think we need more of them. I think we need prayer back in school, and I think we need pride back in the USA, and we need to make America godly again. So let's go.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so your election was kind of unique because, like, we voted for you twice.
Unusual for
We
a
voted
Republican.
for you twice, and part of that had to do with you kind of maintaining Doc Anderson's seniority. Is that right?
No, sir. The way that worked is Doc Anderson retired early, which allowed the seat to open up, and the governor called a special election to fill the unexpired term, which runs through January in the first till we get sworn in again January 14th.
Mm,
So I was able to get sworn in last Monday, November 18th, and I was able to gain 30 spots of seniority, but just 30
mm,
spots. So he had a big office. He had been there for 18, 19 years, and he had a big office up in the main part of the Capitol, and I don't. I'm down in the annex, but I got the office that I wanted, and I got to choose before they did. But more importantly, that seniority is important on committee assignments. And ultimately, as time goes on, 25 or 30 more people are elected next year, and I'll gain another 25 or 30 spots. And
mm.
you can gain a lot of spots quickly, and that seniority will be really handy. He gave us a nice gift in Central Texas and McLennan County by doing that. Um,
Do you know what kind of committees they're offering or that you're going to be a part of yet?
No, no, nobody will know until you get there. With the seniority that I have, I'll be able to probably have a little more say in things that I want. I've
Mm-hmm.
made it clear I've been asked several times in Austin, and I've made it clear of a couple of committees that I'd like to have assignments on. I know of one that's really important to our district that I'm sure I can get assigned to using seniority, and then it comes to a request. And they'll pair me up with people they think I should be on a committee with, and they'll pair me up as well with my expertise in different areas, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
they know I work hard, so I think they'll put me on a committee where I'll get to work hard and have an area of expertise.
right now, and it's been this way for years, right? Everyone's talking about the speaker. Um, and I didn't. This is not a setup. I don't want you to feel trapped by this, but is that is he gonna stay or is he gonna move on? What do you think?
Truthfully, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, you hear from all sides on this. I mean, we've all talked about it, been involved in it. I mean, I've made it clear that I want the Republican nominee to be is who I want to is who I'm going to vote for on the House floor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want the Republicans to stand together, and I would prefer not to have Democrat chairs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've been pretty clear about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Most
That kind of
importantly,
that kind of adds up, if you know what I mean.
yeah. So, I mean, I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
Um, most importantly, though, I want us to get the priorities and done more quickly. I want the Republican agenda, the governor's agenda, the lieutenant governor's agenda, the emergency items to be quickly put through and worked on and
Mm-hmm.
properly work together to do it. I also
Yep.
want I also want the House to recognize that we need a leader, right? And you need somebody that can lead, and you need somebody that gets things done and doesn't make unforced errors. We don't need
Mm.
any more unforced errors. We need the state of Texas and the United States to see that Republicans can all work and control all three branches and still be able to be effective and stay together. That's important. We need to get done what we said we would get done.
I agree with that. And it's the not too long ago I saw an article. It was shortly after the election. I want to say it was in the Waco Trib. It might have been a news one of our news companies, but basically what they were saying was, there was a lot of talk that Texas was turning purple, right? But after this election, the realization hit not so purple, and it's really quite red, which which in our county there were no Democrat victories, and so it makes them wonder what the future is of the Democrat Party. First, what would you say to the Democrats who right now probably feel defeated, but they're still part of our county, right? So what would you say to them about all that?
First off, I mean, don't feel defeated unless you're a far leftist, right? I mean, part of the problem is the far left side of that party took over. And when you do the kinds of things that they did by open borders and spending money like it's going out of style and getting away with everything they want to get away with, it hurts the populace. That's the problem, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think the far, and then they got off on all the transgender stuff, and they got off on the boys and girls sports and or
Yeah.
girls and boys and those kinds of things, and that's not what people want. That's they want their pocketbook protected. They want their future for their kids protected, and they don't want inflation at the levels that they had. So I think most of the Democrats, honestly, are moderate, and there are various levels of moderation, no different than Republicans. You have the far right Republicans, then you have the more, the kind of right center, and then you have the more center Republicans. And I think the key is 92% of the budget of the state of Texas goes to everybody. Right. I mean, and like we were talking about Latinos, right? Latinos are 40.2% of the population of Texas. Do you realize that Latinos are a little higher percentage than white people? I mean, just about that much, which is
Mm.
great, by the way. I mean, I've been around this community my entire life, gone to school with them, worked for them, done everything you can think of. So I think that the Latino group especially has realized that what we don't like all that far left stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they may not like some of the far right stuff either. And I think you're going to see people come together more and more and more to say, you know what, we still reach across the aisle, we still talk to each other, and we're going to get things done. And that's just
And
I'm seeing the Democrats in Austin anyway. I'm seeing most of the Democrats are pushing away from that far left contingency, and there's only a handful of them.
Yeah, I think in the end they kind of realized that there was a lot of their messaging that was very far left, and they probably missed the mark on it. But you being a representative, I know Doc Anderson was the same. You know, he was always open arms, open hands. You know, if you've got a question, call me. If you need anything, I'm here for you. It didn't matter what party, whether you voted for him or not, he's a representative. You're going to be that guy too.
Absolutely. I mean, I can tell you, I don't care. And it's not, I'm not just an HD 56 guy either. I mean, I'm going to take care of Central Texas. I'm going to take care of our community. I'm going to help Marlin. I'm going to help everybody. I mean, if I can help, I'm going to get out and help. I mean, I
Yeah.
went down today at the Adams Drive-In with Bob Bosch and fed people for a couple of hours
Mm.
at 18th and Trice, and sat
Mm-hmm.
out there and talked to them and helped them serve them and that that's who I am. I've done that many times, and we've got some
Mm.
projects coming up to get Christmas presents in the kids' hands and in the kids that need it, and you'll see us do a whole lot in this community that and Doc did a lot of that as well, and I'm proud to be able to say I'll be able to carry that tradition on.
Yeah. So I want to get back on this Latino vote thing real quick, and then I'll give you an opportunity to add anything you want. But so a lot of people are saying, and you know, Aram, gotta love Aram. He's so uh, in tune with all the things that he sends me videos and look at this, check this out. You're not gonna believe what this person said. So um, he sent me about 10 different video clips of news media just baffled about how Latino vote went Republican. And and honestly, I won't be impressed until we get up into the 70% range of support. But you know, it's trending. It's trending upwards. It's ticking upwards, and everybody's wondering: is this a fluke? Is this something that's just a Trump thing, or truly Latinos waking up to reality, right? And I think it's a trend that will hopefully never stop. But I want to get your thoughts on that, and as far as to grow the Latino vote, um, how you feel we can do that.
Okay, there's two questions that I'm going to probably answer with one answer, um, and that is that you say what you're going to do and you do what you say, right? And I think the Latinos no different than most other people, but Latinos want you to they want to know what you're going to do for them, and they want to know how you feel about them, and then they want to see it, and that's
Hmm.
where we've got to perform, right? If we're going to keep their vote, we're going to have to continue to earn their vote. How do you earn their vote? You do the things you said, right? And you talk to them and you listen to whether they're no matter it doesn't matter. I've said this many times. These are not red and blue issues. These are red, white, and blue issues. And the
Mm.
fact is our flag sitting right on the bill of my cap is red, white, and blue for the U.S. It's red, white, and blue for Texas, and we'll do the red, white, and blue things. That's what those people want. When I'm out standing at the polls and I'm talking to them, that's what they're coming up and talking about. And
Hmm.
and so it's really I think that's the problem is the Democrat Party really told them they were going to do all these things for them, and then it didn't pan out for them, and they what they did was went far left and did too many things that weren't in their best interests. Our
Mm.
job is to do things, and by the way, most Latinos' interests are the same as ours. They work hard, they're good people. I mean, they're good, they're God fearing, they're church going. They're very family oriented. They're probably more family oriented than a lot of white people I know, truthfully, um, and they're loyal. And so, consequently, that's what they want back, and they want to see the people that support that. If Republicans are smart, we'll continue to say what we do and do what we say and listen. And I think
Hmm.
that's important.
Awesome. Well, those are kind of got through it pretty quick. We're about 35 minutes into it, and I'm going to give you opportunity if there's anything that I missed or that you want to add. Open the floor to you.
Okay, well, you missed about 27 things. So, how much time do I have? No,
Yeah,
I,
all the
I'm
time
gonna
you want.
I'm going to hit on a couple of items. First and foremost, water. I got into this because of water. I said I was going to protect Waco's water, and I am. It's not just me; it's myself and the county and the city, and we have a great government system here. And we want to work with the dairy farmers, and we want to work with people, but we're going to protect our water to the death.
Mm.
They understand that now, and they understand that we're a force to be reckoned with. I also said I wanted to make McLennan County have a strong voice and keep the voice that we have, and I think we have that. You've seen a lot more appearances by a lot of big state officials and federal officials as well, which is really good, and so I think that's a big impact. The other one is, and that nobody's talking about right now for some reason, that's mental health.
Mm.
We lost the DePaul Center. We lost a lot of mental health. We don't have much mental health support in this county, and in the 6-county area that we serve, which is a big rural district. So I'm working to get money from the state to help reopen DePaul, to
Mm.
work on our behavioral health network here, and I'm working with the behavioral health leadership team to do that, and the state of Texas and all the powers that be in Austin. And my intention is to get that done. I'm going to work as hard as I can to build that facility, but also work on the problems in our education system that are due to mental health issues. We have a tremendous amount. It's a crisis in the state of Texas. As successful as this state is financially and economically, we have some crises, and that's one of them. It's a big one. And whether it's
Mm.
veterans or children or anything in between, and whether you're red, white, or blue, it doesn't matter. Or brown, you've got to be able, you still have those issues, right? And so consequently, I think that the getting to the root of the mental health issues and providing the support that our teachers need, providing the support that our community needs, providing the support that even our jails need, and our homeless population, we've got to be able to provide that mental health support. That's
Mm.
going to take a lot of work, a lot of thought. I'm on working group committees in the legislature right now talking about that. I'll be down there all next week. I'll be down there the week after that, working every day on these policies that I just described and that
Mm-hmm.
we've been talking about. So I can just tell you that there's so many issues that we can talk about. Those are my big priorities, and
Yeah.
I'll continue to work them.
Well, we look forward to having you on and continue updating, the district, and appreciate you working so hard. You're not hesitating. You're jumping right in with both feet, and I think that's what everybody's been looking for. Um, and appreciate you being accessible. I think that's important. That's important to. And I know you say all the time, you'll put your phone number out. Anyone can call you anytime, but that's true. I mean, anytime we've ever called, you answer right away, and so and that matters. So I
Why
appreciate
don't you
you.
just tell the people it's 855-4900. That's my
There
cell
you
number.
go. 855-4900, folks.
That's
There you
right.
go. Call Pat Curry if you've got any issues.
I'll be happy to help. If I can
that's
possibly help, I will.
that's crazy. Well, I'll tell you what. It's been a pleasure visiting with you again tonight, and we'll have you on again soon, within another month or two, and get another update because you got a
Anytime.
lot going on. You got a lot going on, and the people here locally, I know that they enjoy hearing directly from you like this. So,
Well, I
folks,
appreciate
thank you.
you. I do. First off, I want to say I appreciate your service to our country. I appreciate who you are and the group that you represent, and I think you represent them extremely well. We don't always
Oh,
agree on everything, but I will tell you one thing, that I do appreciate this, and I'll be here with you anytime you need me, and I don't
awesome.
hide. And sometimes you won't like my answer, but I'm going to give you an answer.
Yeah, hey, the truth hurts sometimes. That's the thing about the truth. At least you're willing to tell it. So, folks, appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll have Pat on again here shortly. Thank you for joining us, Duke Machado, Latino Strike Force, and Hispanic Republican Club of McLennan County. We're out.
Powered by Riverside.
That's the Trump dance, baby. That's the Trump dance.